Well, one of the things I like to do most is to get into an archive and look for manuscripts, particularly manuscripts that people haven't looked at in a very long time, things that might give me some kind of insider's view on what the characters I'm interested in learning about were really doing. So one of the things that I did some years ago was to look at the papers of Robert Boyle, famous character. We all learned Boyle's law about gases. One of the things that I discovered in his papers was a huge amount of work on trying to make the philosopher's stone and transmute base metals into gold. The result of that was I wrote a book on Boyle and his alchemical quest, which gives us now a very different view of this famous English scientist, shows him more in his context and what he himself was really interested in doing. After that, with my colleague at Indiana University, Bill Newman, we wrote together a couple of books on an interesting character by the name of George Starkey and his interactions with Boyle, mostly because we had come across some of his laboratory notebooks. Every scientist nowadays takes laboratory notebooks. We don't think about it happening for an alchemist looking for the secret of transmutation working in the 1650s. But this fellow Starkey kept beautiful laboratory notebooks. So we wrote a book about his notebooks, and then we transcribed the notebooks, translated them, and published that as well. I started out as a PhD chemist in synthetic organic chemistry. And I just got more and more interested in the history of science, where ideas came from, how chemists came up with ideas. You know, we do this all the time in the lab today, but how did people do it years ago? I mean, in the 16th century, where did ideas come from? How did they come out of laboratory observations? And so I just gradually gravitated more and more towards the historical aspect. And now I live a schizophrenic life between a chemistry department where I teach and a history of science and technology department where I also teach. I'm Larry Principe. I'm professor of chemistry and professor of history of science and technology at Johns Hopkins University.